This is about the scientist James Watson. I wasn't sure if James Watson had written a non-scientific book, so I did some digging and I came up with a memoir, Avoid Boring People. I liked the title, a double-edged sword, both a warning to stay away from bores and an admonition to keep from boring others. He did both. Watson won a Nobel Prize with Francis Crick for discovering the molecular structure of DNA, the famous double helix, and in doing so, indicating how genes convey information by replication, which we call heredity. Having finished reading the book, I find I want to write not about it especially, but about what I might call the great man theory of history. I don't think Leo Tolstoy was a proponent of the great man theory of history. He thought it was hogwash, and so do I, but we are, by far, in the minority. People like to think that events are shaped by great men like Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un. Consider the discovery of the structure of DNA. It was a golden egg lying in the grass waiting to be discovered. There were many scientists working on it, and many of them were aware of enough information about it that they might have put it together. They were close. Watson and Crick, with the help of work done by Rosalind Franklin, were the ones who did put it together correctly first, and they were honored for it. But if they hadn't come up with it, someone else would have, and sooner, not later. The point is this: the credit for the discovery was more important than the discovery. Because we favor the great man of history approach, we single them out and we say that they and they alone did this. All praise to the great men. Watson writes about a life of scientific research which is intensely, almost frantically competitive, with many people working on the same problem and everyone wanting to be the first to appear in print. It's a scramble. After a while, it began to look like cockfights and one great big global circle jerk, with everyone furiously pumping to see who could spurt first. It was crazy and disturbing, not inspiring. Does it really matter who comes first? Yes, it matters a great deal. Everything depends on it. Reputation, careers, academic standing, money, prizes. As for a system of discovering truths about nature, it seems very odd and dysfunctional to me. It calls for satire on the order of Jonathan Swift. Watson compares scientific research to sports, that your best years are when you are young and you have rival teams battling for one trophy. This creates tremendous pressure and often causes abuse, doing anything to succeed. Watson relates a little story about one conference where a top scientist was married to a former Miss World. Watson notes that she is still in superb shape. His wife later hears her vomiting up dinner in a bathroom, the price she pays for that fine appearance. In sports, the athletes take drugs, steroids, growth hormones, performance enhancers, and then lie about this, deny it. So we have Lance Armstrong and Barry Bonds and Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire and Roger Clemens, all liars and cheats. And when they were performing at the highest level, everyone absolutely adored them and their accomplishments. They were all great men. We do anything we can to accomplish great things. Watson and Crick did. Does that make them great men as opposed to those scientists not officially recognized? In an epilogue, Watson berates a Harvard president for his social incompetence. The man suggested that women were not able to compete with men in higher mathematics, something Watson also believes. The president voiced this publicly and had to resign because of it. Near the end of the epilogue, Watson writes about genetic determination of intelligence, which could differ significantly for geographically separated populations. He later gave an interview to a former student in which he elaborated on this, discussing the genetic basis for intelligence, which differs for him according to race. You can see the argument. Black people naturally make better runners, white people are better thinkers. That eventually destroyed his career. He had to sell his Nobel medal at auction, the first and only person to do so, for $4.1 million. It was purchased by a Russian billionaire who returned it to him. Watson apologized for his remarks, but he could not retract them. The damage was done, and I would also add that the discovery of the elegant structure of DNA has not been as promising as it first appeared to be. Early on, it looked like we would unlock all the secrets of life as easily as opening a zipper. It has proven to be much more complicated than that, even though discoveries are made and they keep handing out those wonderful Nobel Prizes, honoring the great men.